but obviously, we've got a caution.
Caution on the racetrack. The 14 of Clint Bowyer involved.
Hold the brake.
Also the 41 of Kurt Busch. Hard damage to the front of that car.
Stay left there if you can. Got one coming outside.
And he's up against the wall. It'll be difficult for him to climb out if he can't get that car away from the wall.
I don't see no fire or nothing, but get on out.
So the caution comes out. Keselowski and Johnson were waiting for this. They were trying to stay on the racetrack for this very opportunity.
As you see, Kurt Busch climbing out.
Eric Jones also involved. He climbs out of the 77.
Yeah, Rick, you brought up Keselowski and Johnson. They didn't think they were in a position to win the race, so they tried something different, staying out as long as they could to try to get fresh tires. Well, oh, wow, Jamie McMurray, the one, has damage to the right front, a flat tire. A lot of moving parts in this accident right here.
Let's take a look at what just happened.
See Clint Bowyer comes off the corner and gets loose. Eric Jones is underneath him. Big impact. It was around the 14th position. Went back across the racetrack right in front.
Yeah, the 41 of Kurt Busch.
Big impact.
There was a car in front of Clint that got loose.
Yes.
But that saved it. And that's what drew my attention away from Clint Bowyer. But if you look right behind that car, that's where the 14 actually loses control.
Yeah, I believe it's Paul Menard that got loose. Wow.
And that was, Kurt Busch would have avoided this, but the 14 came up. Let's ride along with Kurt Busch on the helmet cam.
You see him crashing down. Crash dash coming up. He's coming up. Coming in the middle. Hold the brakes there, bud, when you can.
Seen that too many times, Rick. That's
wow,
as real as it gets. Big impact. Shoots Bowyer back across the racetrack.
Fortunately, to miss the end of that pit wall.
Yeah,
I know it was another hard impact, but the end of that pit wall would have been another awkward impact as we see the red flag now being displayed, Rick.
Yeah, a lot of cleanup's going to have to take place here.
It's amazing.
So violent.
Cars going that fast, how they just rebound back into the racetrack. Good to see Kurt Busch coming out of that car. That's hard impact.
This shot right here, Rick.
See him crashing down. Crash dash coming up. He's coming up. Coming in the middle.
And what surprises me there, Jeff, so explain to me, I hear him lift but then get back in the gas.
Brakes there, bud,
so I know he obviously doesn't want to drive into the accident. As a driver, you get back into the gas because you're trying to get by the spinning car.
That's right. Many times to miss a wreck, if you slow down, you get in the wreck. So you have to make a calculated guess, and he thought his best opportunity was to keep his speed up. Remember, he saw Clint Bowyer going to the left.
Right.
He had no way of knowing Clint Bowyer was going to rebound and come back across the racetrack. He was just trying to get by as quickly as he could. Once Clint Bowyer rebounded, well then, it was just nothing he could do. There was no way that he could anticipate Clint coming back across the racetrack like that. But
And
that's
Jeff,
how quick it happens. I mean, that shot right there, when I try to explain to people what driving a race car is like, that's it. What would he have done different? People want to second-guess drivers when they get in a wreck. Have at it. You get in that seat and you drive. You put yourself in that situation. It's hard to do.
Jeff, one of the best things about that view right there is what we talk about all the time as race car drivers. When a wreck is happening in front of us, we don't watch the car wrecking. We don't look where that car is going. We're trying to find the hole. And you see his eyes right there. He's looking to that hole that he saw Jamie McMurray get through, but it closed up. But that's what you do as a race car driver when the wreck is happening to you. You know this. You look for that opportunity to get away from the wreck, and that's why he was getting to the throttle trying to shoot that gap.
And you make that decision in a split second, in less than a second. You have to commit, and you have to make that decision and go do it. And if you hesitate, more times than not, you get in the wreck.
So a lot of cleanup taking place on the exit of turn 4 on the front stretch, and so the red flag has been displayed. They will stop the cars with 10 laps to go.
So we talked about this. We see the 14 behind the 27, but this bright yellow 27, Jeff, look at the slide he makes off turn 4. I don't know if it's just coincidence, but it's a huge correction right here. And I don't know if that does something to the 14. I mean, the 14 looks like he was in a slide himself, so I'm not sure if they had anything to do with one another, but it was definitely coincidental for sure that they were both sideways at the same time.
Well, one thing we do know with this low downforce package is the more cars that are around each other, the worse they drive. And so you have less downforce when a car's on the outside of you, when you're behind other cars. So 4 cars and just one little group right there, those cars, none of those cars were driving very good.
Such damage to the 14 of Clint Bowyer's car.
So remember, getting back to the race, I mean, that's got me, after riding along with Kurt Busch, I feel like I was driving that race car, but getting back to this race, remember we saw Kasey Kahne hit pit road, and then the caution came out immediately. He stayed in the lead lap. So if everybody in front of him believes tires are more important than track position, Kasey Kahne could come out and be in the best position to win this race. He pitted on lap 149?
Yeah, 149.
Matt Kenseth on 132. So there's a lot of people between Matt Kenseth and Kasey Kahne, but if enough of those people pit, Kasey Kahne could be in the catbird seat.
Well, I mean, if you go down, we know Keselowski and Johnson are coming to pit road. They need fuel and tires. But then it is just such a mixed bag behind them of laps on tires. Trevor Bayne is close on fuel and has some old tires. Kenseth has newer tires, but man, he still has 18 laps on him, and he's running fast laps, trying to run down the 6 of Trevor Bayne. So, you know, I think that Kasey Kahne, I would be surprised if anyone in front of Kasey Kahne stayed out. I think the 5 of Kasey Kahne is getting ready to start this race on the front row. I think everyone is going to be forced to pit. And I think some guys are going to gamble perhaps on 2 tires, which is only going to make Kasey Kahne's case better, that those other cars he'll start in front of will be on older left side tires.
And many of these people's situation and where they are in points and trying to make the playoffs will determine whether they pit or not. So some of these guys have nothing to lose by staying out. And by the way, some of these guys have nothing to lose by pitting. So remember, the end goal is to try to get into the playoffs. Obviously, the best way to do that is win this race. But these strategies are going to be based on what gives them the best chance to win the race and also what gives them the best chance to make the playoffs.
We're looking at Tony Stewart coming off of the pit box, team owner for the 14 team for Clint Bowyer. Want to listen into the radio communication from the 48 team of Jimmy Johnson. We had mentioned that he and Brad Keselowski were going to have to either run out of gas or have a caution happen. Well, it did happen. Here's the communications.
Save fuel. Save all the fuel you can. We are in critical state here. Critical.
And that's not critical to make to the end of the race. That's critical to get back to pit road. That was Chad Canales being very adamant. Obviously, they had this terminology worked out. He knows what critical means, or Jimmy Johnson knows what critical means. That's a whole nother level of fuel savings because, you know, it's great to have this track position, and they got the yellow they need, but if this 48 doesn't refire and make it to pit road, then they're going to lose that track position.
So right now they're sitting on the back straightaway. So what they're hoping for is that when it goes back caution, that NASCAR immediately opens pit road. If NASCAR has to go around another lap, that's another lap under caution that the 48 is going to have to go, as well as Keselowski.
And we want to check in with Clint Bowyer. Kelly has caught up with him.
Yeah, he's just been released, says he's okay, thank goodness. That was a nasty hit. Clint, we saw the 27 get a little loose before you. Was that sort of what triggered the events?
Yeah, he was getting crowded pretty hard through 3 and then in 4, and you know, they got together and then parked in front of us, and he just kind of had to make an evasive move. I knew the 77 had to run on me there, and all hell broke loose. It was a pretty hard hit. Felt like hard, and then somebody hit me again. I don't know when, but or I thought they did. Felt like they did. Pretty much sucks.
Well, yeah, and big picture-wise, I know this is not what you want when you're trying to hang on to that final playoff spot.
Yeah, no, it was definitely not needed for sure, but we'll regroup. This is a strong team. Proud of the 14 bunch, proud of their effort. You know, we was a little bit off in practices and things like that, qualifying, and found a way to make it better for the race, and was, you know, I think we're going to have a single-digit finish for sure, but it's wasn't our day.
Thanks, Clint.
Thanks for Mobile and Rush. Everybody come on board for Indy. Thanks.
a normal, upbeat, energetic, enthusiastic Clint Bowyer, obviously dejected after that wreck.
Well, I mean, Kelly brought it up. The playoff situation, that 14 is now down near that cut line of 16th in points. Joey Logano just below it. Matt Kenseth is above the 14 now as they currently run on the racetrack. So, we saw the 24 of Chase Elliott have an engine failure early. He hasn't even really been in conversation. Everyone thought he was good in the points. So, with 7 races, very unique races left between now and the end of the regular season, this is starting to really, really tighten it all up.
All right, Steve, Jeff, to win this race, I'll take the first 2, and I'll tell you that Keselowski and Johnson will come to pit road. Who else comes to pit road, and what strategy wins this race?
Pit road. Come to pit road for 4 tires.
Everyone?
I think anyone who stays on the racetrack will be passed almost immediately. When you look at the lap times, these cars start in the mid 49-second range. They slow all the way down to the 52-second range. We saw it just last week at New Hampshire, the 88 trying to make something happen, staying out on old tires. A Hail Mary is what Dale Jr. called it. And they split him 2, 3, 4 wide in the first corner. I think while Indianapolis is very narrow, it is very momentum and wide where it matters most, which is that back straightaway. I think, Jeff, on old tires, you go through 1 and 2, there's just nowhere to protect as you come off turn 2.
If you could get 6 to 8 other cars to stay out with you, and you were that lead guy, great. But no one's going to do that for you. And you being in, if you have old tires on and you're in 6th spot, and you put tires on at 117, they're going to gobble you up quickly.
Also involved in the accident, Eric Jones. He's out of the infield care center and standing by with Kelly.
Yeah, and Eric, we saw you up there racing hard at the 14. How did you see this wreck unfold?
Well, I had gotten under the 14 off of 4, and there was 2 lap cars in front of us, and the 14 just turned left. I was at his door almost, and wrecked me and him. Looks like the 41 got in it somehow. So, just unfortunate. I don't know. There's just been a lot of stuff like that happen to us this year, and I think with the pit cycle, the way it was going to all work out, we were going to get a top 10 finish. So it's just unfortunate to see it play out like that. But the Sport Clips Camry was fast, got better all day. We had a top 5 car. It seemed like at the end of the race, just didn't get to see it all play out.
No, you did run up front for most of it. Your first time in a Cup car here at Indy. So what will be the takeaway or the lessons learned?
Man, it's been the story of our season. We've run well, run up front, just haven't been able to close these races out, whether it's our own fault or bad luck or circumstance. So we can take a lot away from it. I can, at least. The experience and the strategy here that plays out. Indy's a tough place, especially in a Cup car, and I learned a lot for coming back next year.
Thank you, Eric.
Eric Jones will be behind the wheel of the 20 in 2018, and Matt Kenseth just documented he was in a great position